My name is Emily, and I'm about to tell you how 3 empty chairs at my wedding revealed the truth about my family in a way I never could have prepared for. They were right there, in the front row of the chapel. 3 chairs with satin ribbons tied carefully across the backs, each holding a white card with names written in elegant calligraphy. Mom, Dad, Rachel, my entire family, condensed into 3 empty seats. They sat there like wounds made visible, the kind you can't cover up no matter how much lace or candlelight surrounds them. You might wonder why I saved those seats if I already knew they weren't coming. That's the cruelest part. Hope doesn't die easily, even when every past disappointment should have taught me better. The truth is, I didn't know the full story then. I only knew the excuses. Excuses I'd been fed a week before my wedding day. Excuses that sounded paper thin even as my mother spoke them. But at the time, I wanted so badly to believe her that I let them settle over me like gauze, fragile, see-through, pretending to protect while letting the wound beneath fester. It began on a Tuesday morning, exactly 7 days before I would marry Jordan, the man who'd spent the last 4 years proving to me that love wasn't supposed to hurt. I remember sitting cross-legged on the apartment floor, wedding thank you cards scattered like confetti around me. Jordan had already left for his bachelor camping trip with his brothers, 3 days of fishing, not drinking, which was exactly his style. The apartment felt too quiet without him, so I filled the silence with a podcast about wedding disasters. The hosts were laughing hysterically about a cake collapse that had ruined someone's reception. Their voices sounded far away, unreal. Then my phone buzzed. Mom. I smiled automatically. She'd been strangely distant in the months leading up to the wedding, but I'd convinced myself it was stress. Weddings make families crazy, right? I swiped to answer. Hi, Mom. I was just thinking about you. Did you get the itinerary I sent? Ceremony starts at 4, but I'd love for you to come to the bridal suite around noon. We can get ready together. There was a pause on the other end, a breath heavy enough to make my chest tighten. My mother's voice came low, carrying that familiar heaviness I'd heard too many times before, the one she always used before letting me down. I'd heard it when she skipped my college graduation because Rachel had a dance recital. I'd heard it when she missed my promotion dinner because Dad's bowling league had playoffs. Emily, honey, we need to talk about Saturday. My pen froze over the thank you card I was writing. The podcast laughter blurred into static. What about Saturday? Her silence stretched like a crack widening across glass. I could almost see her in the kitchen of my childhood home, wiping down spotless counters just to have something to do with her hands. That was her nervous habit. We're not going to be able to make it, sweetheart. The words sat between us like an unsolvable equation. Not able to make it to my wedding? My voice broke on the word wedding. Mom sighed, almost annoyed. You know how things have been. The car needed new tires, property taxes just came due, and with gas prices being what they are, a 3-hour drive each way, it's just not feasible right now. Feasible. She said it like we were negotiating a business contract. Mom, I offered to cover gas. Jordan's parents already reserved an extra room at their hotel for you. If it's money, it's not just that, she cut in sharply. Her voice had an edge now, defensive. Your father's back has been acting up. 3 hours in the car would kill him. And Rachel has that thing with her friends that weekend. That thing with her friends. I felt my throat tighten. Mom, this is my wedding. I know that, she said quickly, her tone shifting to brittle impatience. Don't be dramatic. We'll celebrate when you get back. Maybe a nice dinner. Somewhere special. Somewhere special. I thought of the Olive Garden they'd taken me to after high school graduation, where Rachel had gotten to order dessert because she sat through the boring ceremony. I swallowed hard. Is Dad there? Can I talk to him? He's in the garage, she said too fast. You know how men are with emotions. She let out a hollow laugh. But he loves you, sweetheart. We both do. This is just bad timing. Bad timing. As if I had scheduled my wedding specifically to inconvenience them. I pressed once more. What about Rachel? She can at least... Oh, honey, I should go. The stove timer's going off. We'll call you after, okay? Take lots of pictures. And just like that, she hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, the thank you card half written in my lap. Thank you so much for the beautiful serving dish. Jordan and I can't wait to... Can't wait to what? Host family dinners where my family never showed up? I tried Dad's cell. Straight to voicemail. I texted Rachel, fingers trembling. Mom says you guys can't make it. Please tell me this isn't real. Her response came 3 hours later. Sorry, sis. Money's tight for everyone right now. Hope it's beautiful. 2 hearts. A heart emoji instead of showing up. That night, I sank into the bathtub and stayed there until the water went cold. Every memory replayed in my mind. How Mom had seemed excited about flowers at first. How Dad once promised to dance with me at my wedding. How Rachel had teased me about my dress. All of it had slowly cooled, like someone dimming a light switch, until only shadows were left. Jordan called from the campsite. His voice crackled through bad reception. "How's my almost wife doing?" I wanted to lie, to protect this last piece of his celebration from my family's dysfunction. But I had promised him years ago, no more pretending. "They're not coming," I whispered. The silence was so long I thought the call had dropped. Finally he spoke, careful, steady. "Your parents? Any of them?" "Mom, Dad, Rachel, none of them. They said they can't afford it." Jordan's voice grew firm. "Emily, they drove to Vegas last month for that concert Rachel wanted to see." "I know." "They just bought new patio furniture." "I know, baby." "This isn't about money." "I know that too." We stayed on the phone until his battery died. Him promising that our wedding would still be perfect, that his family was my family now, that we were building something new and better. I wanted to believe him. But later, wrapped in blankets that felt too heavy, I couldn't stop picturing the 3 chairs I knew I would save anyway. Because hope is a stupid, stubborn thing. And I had no idea yet just how cruelly that hope would be shattered. The morning after that phone call, sunlight spilled through the apartment windows, as if daring me to believe in happiness. I wanted to let it warm me, but I felt cold, hollowed out. A week before my wedding, I should have been buzzing with excitement. Instead, I stared at my phone, willing it to light up with an apology, a change of heart, anything. Nothing came. Instead, I scrolled back through old photos. There was Christmas 3 years ago, all of us in matching sweaters Mom had insisted on. Dad's arm slung across my shoulders at my college graduation party. He hadn't come to the ceremony, but at least he'd made it to the party after. Rachel and I at the beach the summer before high school, building sandcastles, whispering about futures that felt limitless. In those photos, we looked like a family, smiles frozen in time, proof that once upon a time, they knew how to show up. But now, on the cusp of my new beginning, I couldn't stop hearing my mother's voice. "It's not feasible. Rachel has that thing with her friends," as if a friend's weekend mattered more than the only wedding I would ever have. I buried my face in my hands and stayed that way until the knock at the door startled me. It was Lily, my best friend and maid of honor. She bustled inside with iced coffees, bagel, and her irreverent humor that always carried me when I was sinking. "Okay, bride-to-be, on a scale of 1 to Brittany 2007, how close are we to shaving our heads?" I laughed despite myself. Somewhere around eyeliner smudged Brittany. "That bad?" She set the coffee on the table, narrowing her eyes. "Tell me." "They're not coming," I said. My voice cracked on the word, raw from overuse the night before. Lily froze. "None of them?" I shook my head. Gas prices, Dad's back, Rachel's plans, excuses stacked like poker chips. Her face hardened, the way it always did when she went into protective mode. "Emily, you don't deserve this." I knew that, but knowing doesn't make it hurt less. That evening, Jordan called again from the campsite. "How's my almost wife?" I forced brightness into my voice, over-caffeinated, mildly homicidal. He chuckled, but then his tone softened. "Emily, listen to me. They've been making excuses your whole life. This isn't new. It's just clearer now." I thought maybe for my wedding." My throat closed around the words. "I know," he said gently, "but you're not walking down that aisle alone. My family will be there, and me, always me." His certainty steadied me, even as doubt gnawed at the edges. The next few days blurred into a haze of fittings, lists, and final details. Jordan's family swept me into their orbit with an ease that felt foreign. His mother, Patricia, insisted on teaching me their family's traditional wedding bread recipe. Flour dusted my hair as his sisters argued over who would fix my veil if it slipped. His father teased me like I was already his daughter. It should have been enough. In some ways it was more than I'd ever had, but every kindness felt like a spotlight on what was missing. One evening, while helping Patricia braid dough, I found myself confessing what I hadn't said aloud to anyone else. It feels like I'm always the extra. The one people tolerate, not the one they choose. Patricia wiped her hands on a towel and studied me with steady eyes. "Let me tell you something, Emily. Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shows up. You're marrying into a family that shows up. Don't forget that." Her words lodged somewhere deep, but the ache remained. By Friday night, the eve of the rehearsal, I still hadn't heard a single word from my parents or Rachel beyond Rachel's emoji-filled text. I couldn't stand the silence anymore. At midnight, I dialed my mother again. She answered groggily. "Emily, what's wrong?" "Nothing's okay," I said. The words tumbled out with a desperation that surprised me. "I'm getting married tomorrow and my family won't be there. Please, I'll pay for everything. Gas, hotel, food. I'll never ask for anything again. Just be there." The line went quiet, except for the ticking of their grandfather clock in the background. I could hear Dad snoring faintly. Finally, Mom sighed. "We can't, Emily. Try to understand." "I'm trying," I whispered. "I've been trying my whole life." She hung up first. I stared at my reflection in the dark window, my own face blurred by tears. I didn't recognize the woman looking back. She was softer, more fragile than the girl who'd survived years of being overlooked. But she was also stronger, because tomorrow she would still walk down that aisle, even if she walked alone. And yet, somewhere in the back of my mind, a shadow whispered that it wasn't money or timing or back pain keeping them away. Something deeper was brewing, something I hadn't yet seen. I had no idea how right I was. Great, let's keep the momentum. The morning of my wedding dawned crisp and golden, one of those perfect October days where the air tastes faintly of apple cider. It should have felt like the happiest day of my life, but I woke with a pit in my stomach. Tradition meant Jordan spent the night at his brother's place, leaving me in our apartment that suddenly felt cavernous without him. At 7, Lily arrived, her arms full of coffee, bagels, and determination. She swept me into motion like a storm, curling irons plugged in, playlists blasting, champagne poured into orange juice. "Today's about joy," she said firmly, catching my eyes in the mirror as she pinned back my hair. "Nothing else, Emily, just joy." I nodded, blinking back tears before they could ruin the work the makeup artist hadn't even started yet. By noon, Jordan's sisters arrived, arms linked, arguing good-naturedly over who would hold my bouquet when I got tired, who would fix my veil if it shifted. Patricia, his mother, fastened my grandmother's pearls around my neck, the one heirloom that had skipped my parents and gone straight from my father's mother to me, as if she'd known I would need something that was truly mine. "You look like royalty," Patricia whispered, her eyes shining. For a moment, I almost believed it. The hours blurred in a haze of laughter, clinking glasses, last-minute lipstick touch-ups. At 3:45, the chapel doors loomed before me. Jordan's Uncle Tom, sturdy and kind with laugh lines carved deep into his face, offered me his arm. He wasn't my father, but in that moment, he steadied me all the same. "You're radiant," he said, voice thick with emotion. "Jordan's the luckiest man alive." I managed a shaky smile. "Thank you." The music swelled, the doors opened. 200 faces turned as one. And there they were. The 3 chairs in the front row, left side, ribbons tied perfectly, place cards unmarred. Mom, Dad, Rachel. Each empty seat seemed to breathe, to pulse, to accuse. They sat in silent judgment, reminding me with every step that I wasn't worth the drive. But then my eyes found Jordan. He stood at the altar, already crying, his hand pressed over his heart like he was physically holding it together. His brother whispered something teasing, but Jordan never looked away from me. The world narrowed until there was only him. Step by step, Tom guided me forward. Each movement was a choice. To walk toward love instead of away from loss. To claim something that was mine, even if those who should have loved me most had abandoned me. When we reached the altar, Tom kissed my cheek and placed my hand in Jordan's. His palm was warm, solid, steady. "You came," Jordan whispered through tears, his voice breaking. "Just for me." "Where else would I be?" I managed. The ceremony blurred into a mix of laughter and tears. Jordan's vows made everyone cry. Mine made them laugh, then cry again. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Jordan dipped me like we were in an old movie. The chapel erupted in cheers so loud they echoed in the rafters. We were married. Despite everything, we were married. The reception followed in a whirl of music and light. Toasts rang out. Jordan's brother told embarrassing stories. His father led a traditional Estonian folk dance that had everyone tripping over their feet. His sisters raised glasses of champagne until they cried with joy. Everywhere I turned, I was surrounded by warmth. Laughter pressed in from all sides. People hugged me, congratulated me, told me I looked beautiful. And still, every kindness seemed to throw those empty chairs into sharper relief. I slipped away for a moment, standing at the edge of the dance floor, staring across the room at those ribbons. For a heartbeat, I imagined what it would have been like if they had been filled. My mother dabbing her eyes, my father nodding proudly, Rachel clapping too loudly, teasing me after about crying. But the vision dissolved like smoke. The chairs remained empty, untouched, waiting for ghosts who had chosen not to come. Jordan found me, sliding an arm around my waist. "Hey," he murmured. "You okay?" I forced a smile. "I am now." He kissed my temple, his presence wrapping around me like armor. "This is our day. No one can take it from us." And yet, as the night deepened and the music pulsed, I couldn't shake the feeling that the absence of those 3 chairs wasn't the end of the story. Somewhere deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning. The reception was in full swing when it happened. The cake had just been wheeled out, white frosting gleaming beneath strings of fairy lights. I laughed as Jordan smeared a bit across my nose before kissing it away, the crowd roaring with delight. For a fleeting moment, I felt whole. Then Lily's hand touched my arm, light but trembling. "Emily," her voice was strange, too careful. I turned, still holding the cake knife, laughter lingering in my throat. "What?" She hesitated, glancing toward Jordan, who was busy dancing with his grandmother. Then she slipped a phone into my frosting sticky hands. "You need to see this before anyone else mentions it." I frowned, the glow of the screen blurring as my heart picked up speed. It was a Facebook post. The photo had gone up 2 hours earlier, right when I had been walking down the aisle. And there they were. My family, my entire family. Not at home, not stuck with car troubles or bad backs or gas money woes. They were on the sun-drenched deck of a Caribbean cruise ship, drinks in hand, wearing matching t-shirts that read, "Franklin Family Reunion 2024. The caption, written by Aunt Janet, "Best family vacation ever. So blessed to have everyone together." My stomach dropped as though the floor had given way beneath me. I scrolled with frosting-stained fingers, each swipe a knife. Dad laughing in a Hawaiian shirt that still had the price tag dangling. Rachel posing in a new sundress, clearly bought for the trip. Mom raising a glass of champagne at what the caption called formal night. The timestamps were merciless. One photo posted at exactly 4:00 p.m., the very moment I had stepped into the chapel. My knees buckled and I sank into a chair. Lily knelt beside me, her face pale. "I'm so sorry, Em. I shouldn't have—" "No," I whispered, my voice detached, foreign. I needed to see. Jordan appeared at my elbow, flushed from dancing, his smile fading as soon as he saw my face. "What's wrong?" Lily wordlessly handed him the phone. I watched as joy drained from his features, his jaw tightening with each swipe. "Are you kidding me?" His voice shook with restrained fury. "They planned this. They booked this months ago. While you were sending save the dates, they were planning this." I couldn't breathe. My vision tunneled as I opened the comments beneath one photo. My cousin Trevor had posted a blurry shot of the family in the ship's ballroom. Everyone was dressed in white, glasses raised. Dad stood in the center, mid-toast. The caption, "Uncle Rob's speech. The ones who matter most always find a way to be together." Glad we skipped the drama for this one. Skipped the drama. My wedding, my marriage, was the drama. The phone slipped from my hands. It would have shattered on the floor if Jordan hadn't caught it. He turned to me, eyes blazing. "Emily, listen to me. This isn't you. This is them. This is who they've always been." But I wasn't listening. Not really. I was seeing. Seeing every smile in those photos, every sparkle in their eyes. None of them looked guilty. None of them looked conflicted. They were happy. Genuinely happy. Without me. The reception music carried on downstairs, muffled through the walls of the bridal suite. Laughter. Clinking glasses. My wedding happening without me, just as their cruise was happening without me. I sat on the carpet in my wedding dress, scrolling through every tagged photo with the dedication of a detective at a crime scene. Rachel's sundress. Dad's shuffleboard game with Uncle Pete, the same uncle who had mailed a card claiming he was too unwell to travel. Mom at a champagne breakfast with Aunt Susan, time-stamped to the exact minute Jordan slipped the ring on my finger. Each image was proof, each caption a betrayal carved into pixels. Finally, the weight of it crushed me. "Why?" I whispered, not to anyone in particular. Why am I never enough? Jordan knelt in front of me, cupping my face with hands still warm from dancing. You are more than enough. You are everything. They're the ones who aren't enough. They're the ones who are broken. Then why, I choked, does it feel like I'm the broken one? He had no answer for that, only silence, and the soft press of his forehead against mine as if trying to hold me together by sheer will. Lily returned a moment later, phone in hand. Your mom's calling. The screen lit up with her name. I stared at it, my mother's name flashing like an accusation. Then I hit decline. Almost immediately, texts began pouring in. It's not what it looks like. We booked this before we knew your date. Rachel really needed this after her breakup. We love you, sweetheart. Why aren't you answering? This is exactly why we didn't tell you. You always get dramatic. Each one another twist of the knife. I switched the phone off. Come on, Lily said gently, pulling me to my feet. You have a room full of people who actually showed up for you. Let's celebrate that. I followed her back into the reception, forcing a smile as guests cheered. Jordan's father pulled me into a dance, whispering in my ear, You're the daughter I always wanted. I laughed at the best man's speech. I tossed the bouquet. I smiled for photos. But inside, I was cataloging every excuse, every absence, every moment my family had chosen something, anything, over me. And though I smiled, I knew this wasn't over. The truth had only just begun to surface. The reception wound on around me, music and laughter spilling through the hall like a tide I could no longer swim against. On the outside, I looked like a glowing bride. Inside, I was fractured glass. Every time a guest pulled me into a hug, every time someone lifted a glass to toast us, I thought about my father's toast aboard that ship. The ones who matter most always find a way to be together. Apparently, I wasn't one of the ones who mattered most. I slipped into the bridal suite again, closing the door against the noise. My dress rustled as I sank to the floor, bouquet discarded beside me. I thought I might finally cry, but no tears came. Just numbness, heavy and unrelenting. Jordan found me minutes later. He didn't knock, just came in quietly, bringing with him a piece of our wedding cake balanced on a small plate. You should eat something, he said gently. I can't. My voice sounded hollow, detached. He sat beside me, setting the cake down between us. I want to drive to that port and throw every single one of them overboard. International waters. We'd probably get away with it. A shaky laugh escaped me. Don't tempt me. He kissed my temple. What do you need, Emily? Tell me. I swallowed hard, staring at the carpet. I need to understand why I wasn't enough, why I've never been enough. His hand tightened over mine. Hey, don't do that. Don't twist their cruelty into your failing. You're more than enough. You're everything. They're the ones who aren't enough for you. Then why does it hurt like I'm the broken one? I whispered. He didn't answer. Maybe there was no answer. A knock startled us. Lily slipped in, holding my phone like it might explode. Your mom's calling again, nonstop. She must have seen that people saw the posts. The screen flashed with her name, Mom. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I pressed decline. Not this time, I said flatly. The phone buzzed immediately with text. It's not what it looks like. We booked this before your date. You know that. Rachel needed this trip for her mental health. Emily, you're being dramatic again. You always do this. I turned the phone off. My thumb didn't even tremble. Come on, Lily urged, extending her hand. You've got a room full of people who actually showed up for you. Let's celebrate them. And so I did. I returned to the dance floor. I laughed at the best man's ridiculous impersonation of Jordan. I posed for photos, bouquet already in the hands of Jordan's cousin. I danced with his father, who leaned down and whispered, You're the daughter I always wanted. The words cracked something inside me. Not pain this time, but relief. To be wanted, even by someone not bound by blood, felt like a balm. Later, during our first dance, Jordan held me close. We're going to build something better, he whispered. A family that shows up, always. What if I don't know how? I admitted, tears catching in my throat. You do, he said with quiet certainty. You're not them. You'll never be them. His words anchored me, even as I caught sight of those 3 empty chairs again, perfectly arranged at the edge of the room like silent witnesses. After the last song, after the sparklers and the goodbyes, Jordan and I climbed into the waiting car. The world finally went quiet. In the darkness of the back seat, I turned my phone back on. 47 missed calls, over 100 texts. But one message stood out, different from the rest. It wasn't from Mom. Dad, or Rachel. It was from a name I barely recognized. Deborah, an old friend of my mother's. Her words stopped me cold. Emily, I'm so sorry about what they did. You should know. Your father withdrew $8,000 from the joint account last month, the one your grandfather set up for you. That wasn't his money to take. I read it 3 times before the meaning pierced through the haze. My heart thudded painfully. The cruise hadn't just cost me my family, it had cost me something else. Something I hadn't even realized was gone. Jordan noticed my face. What is it? I handed him the phone. His eyes scanned the message, his expression shifting from confusion to fury. That account, he said slowly, that's the one with your name on it. From when you were 18, right? I nodded numbly. My grandfather's account, the one he had opened for my education or emergencies. The one he'd said was mine, just mine. I had never touched it. I had trusted my father as the primary holder. I had trusted family, and they had taken it. On our wedding night, as I sat in the back of that car in a dress that still smelled of roses and champagne, I realized the truth. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was financial, it was deliberate, and it had been happening far longer than I knew. The 3 empty chairs were only the beginning. By the time we reached our hotel suite that night, my wedding dress felt like a costume for a role I no longer believed in. The room smelled faintly of roses and vanilla from the arrangements Jordan's sisters had insisted on placing earlier. It should have been romantic. Instead, I was staring at my phone, rereading Deborah's message until the words carved themselves into my brain. Your father withdrew $8,000 from the joint account last month, the one your grandfather set up for you. My grandfather's account. Jordan paced the room, his bow tie hanging loose around his neck, his suit jacket discarded on a chair. Emily, this isn't just disappointing. This is theft. He stole from you. I sank onto the edge of the bed, still in my dress, veil tossed carelessly onto the nightstand. I don't even know if the account still exists. Grandpa set it up when I turned 18. Dad said he'd handle the paperwork since I was a minor when it started. I never touched it. I honestly forgot about it after Grandpa died. Jordan grabbed his laptop, flipping it open with determination. Then let's find out. Tonight. Jordan, it's our wedding night, my voice cracked. We're supposed to be... What? Toasting to forever? Making love in some candlelit haze? Emily, they drained your inheritance to pay for a cruise they skipped your wedding for. They don't get to steal our night, too. His voice softened. Besides, the sooner we know, the sooner we can fight back. He was right. I swallowed hard and gave him my social security number, my childhood bank details, everything I could remember. My hands shook as I typed, resetting a password I hadn't used in years. The account existed. My name appeared on the screen. Secondary holder, but it was still there. Balance, 2-3. I blinked. Surely that was a mistake. Grandpa had been saving for me my entire life. He had whispered once when I was little that it was for college or a wedding, or when life knocks you down. He'd always been careful, deliberate. Jordan leaned over my shoulder. Scroll back, check the history. I clicked, and the transaction log bloomed like a map of betrayal. 3 years ago, starting balance $47,000. My breath hitched. I hadn't known. Then came the withdrawals, each line a knife. 3 $500, noted as living room renovation. The same month, Mom bragged about her new furniture. $5,000, 6 months ago. Rachel's new car. She'd gushed about it online, thanking Mom and Dad for helping her get on the road. $8,000, just last month. The cruise. On and on, transaction after transaction, all authorized by Dad, all draining away what Grandpa had carefully built for me. I pressed a hand to my mouth. Oh my God. Jordan's hand squeezed my shoulder. Emily, this is fraud. Your name is on this account. You never authorized any of it. This is illegal. I shook my head, numb. But it's my dad. Jordan crouched in front of me, eyes burning. And if it was anyone else, you'd already be calling the police. Family doesn't change the crime. The laptop screen glowed, harsh against the dim hotel room. Each withdrawal taunted me, proof of years of deception. I thought, my voice faltered, I thought maybe they didn't come to the wedding because I wasn't important enough. But this means it was never about me. It was about money. It was always about money. Jordan stood, pacing again. We need help. Megan from law school handles cases like this. She'll know what to do. Jordan, we can't call a lawyer on our wedding night. He met my eyes. Watch me. Minutes later, Megan's calm, no-nonsense voice filled the room over speakerphone. Emily, first thing, can you access the account online? Yes, I whispered. Then you need to screenshot everything, every transaction, every balance. Save it to multiple places. Monday morning, file a police report. Then we freeze the account and issue a notice of dispute. A police report against my father? Megan's voice was steady. Emily, I know this is painful, but the law doesn't care that he's your father. What he did is theft. Grandfather or not, executor or not. Your name is on the account. That money was yours. I felt like the floor had tilted. Just hours earlier, I'd walked down an aisle imagining a future where I could finally stop fighting for love. Now I was staring at a screen that proved my family had stolen not just my joy, but my security. Jordan rubbed my back as I fought to breathe. There's something else, Megan. If her grandfather set this aside for Emily, wouldn't there be documentation, a will or trust? Possibly, she said. Emily, do you have any of your grandfather's papers? A memory surfaced, a box beneath our bed, given to me by Grandma after Grandpa's funeral. For when you need him, she'd said. I'd never opened it. Yes, I whispered, at home. Good, bring it Monday, we'll go from there. After we hung up, silence filled the room again. My dress crinkled as I sank back onto the bed, staring at the glow of the screen. The most recent transaction mocked me. $67 for a ship Wi-Fi package. They had used my inheritance, the money my grandfather left to protect me, to buy internet so they could post photos of their cruise during my wedding. I closed the laptop with shaking hands. I want to do it, I said. File the report. Freeze the account. All of it. Are you sure? Jordan asked quietly. There's no going back from this. There's no going back anyway, I whispered. I reached for my phone. It had exploded with notifications. Texts, voicemails, Facebook posts. Rachel had already begun spinning a narrative online. Emily's always been dramatic. She's jealous. This vacation was for our mental health. My mother chimed in. We planned this a year ago. Emily chose her wedding date knowing we had plans. A bold lie. I had saved the date 8 months ago, and she had helped pick it. The comments were piling up, half believing, half condemning. I stared at the screen, then began to type. A Facebook post. Short, sharp, final. Thank you to everyone who celebrated with us today. To those who couldn't make it, we missed you. To those who chose not to come, your absence was a gift. It showed me who my real family is. P.S. If you're wondering about the empty chairs, check the cruise tags from today. Sometimes people show you exactly who they are. Believe them. Jordan read over my shoulder. You sure? I hit post. I wasn't just sure, I was done. Monday morning arrived with a sharp clarity that felt unfair. The sky was cloudless, the kind of blue that usually promised good things. I wasn't sure if I believed in good things anymore. Jordan and I drove in silence to Robert Harrison's office, the lawyer who had handled my grandfather's estate. I had spoken to him briefly the night before, his voice clipped but urgent. We need to meet as soon as possible, he had said. Bring your husband. Bring the box. The box. It sat on my lap as we drove, heavier than its size should have allowed. My grandmother had pressed it into my hands after Grandpa's funeral 2 years earlier. For when you need him, she had whispered. At the time, I couldn't bear to open it. Now, it felt like it might hold the last truth I could trust. Robert Harrison's office was all dark wood and old leather, the kind of room where history seemed to settle into the walls. He was silver-haired, sharp-eyed, and wore a 3-piece suit like armor, but when he looked at me, his expression softened. Emily, he said, shaking my hand with surprising warmth, your grandfather talked about you constantly. You were his pride and joy. The words almost undid me. We sat. The box between us felt like a third presence. I folded my hands to stop them trembling. Mr. Harrison, Deborah told me about the account, the one Dad drained, but she also said that's not the whole story. He nodded gravely. It's not even close. Emily, your grandfather left you everything. The house, the investments, the rental properties, everything. He created a trust, ironclad. You were supposed to receive it on your 25th birthday or your wedding day, whichever came first. My breath caught. I turned 25 8 months ago. Exactly, Robert said. Your father was executor only until then. By law, he was required to transfer control to you. He didn't. Jordan leaned forward, his hands clenched. That's fraud. That's multiple felonies. Robert spread papers across his desk. Trust documents, bank statements, deeds. His finger tapped one line. 3 rental properties generating approximately $4,500 a month. That income should have been yours for almost a year now. I shook my head, dizzy. But they told me Grandpa left everything to them, that he just set aside some bonds for me. Robert's eyes sharpened. They lied. My throat burned. I turned to the box, hands shaking as I pulled the lid free. Inside, bundles of envelopes lay wrapped in tissue paper, each one addressed in my grandfather's spidery handwriting. All to me, all dated after his diagnosis. The first one trembled in my grip as I opened it. "My dearest Emily," it began, "if you're reading this, then I am gone. And you're probably wondering why I didn't protect you better. The truth is, I tried. I've left you everything because you're the only one who deserves it. Your parents will lie to you. They've been lying your whole life. Your father isn't evil, but he is weak, and your mother makes him worse. They see you as competition for Rachel, not as a daughter. I've watched them dim your light for 23 years. No more. Take what's yours. Don't feel guilty. Build the life you deserve. The lawyer has instructions. Trust Robert. He promised to find you when the time was right." My vision blurred. Tears spilled hot onto the paper, smudging his careful script. "P.S. That time you made me soup when I was sick, when you were only 7, you spent your tooth fairy money on the ingredients. That's when I knew you were special. That's when I started saving everything for you." I broke then, sobs tearing through me in that quiet office. Jordan rubbed my back, his own face wet. Robert pushed a box of tissues across the desk without a word. When the storm passed, I wiped my face and opened another letter. "Emily, your wedding day is coming. I know it, even if I won't see it. You'll be beautiful, you'll be loved, you'll be everything they said you couldn't be. Don't invite them if they don't deserve it. Family isn't blood. Family is choice. Choose people who choose you." It was as if he had seen everything, as if he had been watching from beyond. I looked up, my voice hoarse. He knew. He knew exactly what they'd do. Robert nodded. "Your grandfather was no fool. He anticipated their manipulations. That's why the trust is airtight. They cannot contest it successfully. But Emily," his voice dropped, "they have already stolen tens of thousands, and they've been living in your house." My breath froze. My house? Yes, the house you grew up in legally belongs to you. Your father was only supposed to manage it until you turned 25. Instead, he and your mother have been living there rent-free, renovating with your money. The pool, the kitchen, the basement, paid for with funds from your accounts. I felt my pulse hammer in my ears. Memories rushed back. Mom telling me I couldn't have my reception in the backyard because it was too messy. Dad saying there wasn't room for me to stay when I visited. All the while they were standing in my house. Jordan swore under his breath. They've been stealing from her for years. Robert leaned forward. "Emily, I know this is overwhelming, but you need to act. File for immediate injunctions to freeze all assets. File criminal charges for theft and breach of fiduciary duty. You have ironclad proof." I looked at the letters, my grandfather's voice echoing from the page. "Take what's yours. Build the life you deserve." I clenched the paper in my hand. "Then let's do it." Jordan's hand closed over mine, steady as stone. The war with my family had just begun. The first shots of war weren't fired in a courtroom. They were fired online. The morning after our meeting with Robert Harrison, I woke to find my phone vibrating endlessly on the nightstand. Notifications flooded the screen. Facebook tags, Instagram mentions, even TikTok videos. Rachel had gone live the night before, her face streaked with perfectly timed tears. "My sister is trying to destroy our family over money," she sobbed to thousands of viewers. "She's jealous. She always has been. Jealous that Grandpa loved me more. Jealous that Mom and Dad cared about me. Jealous that I'm the one who made something of myself. Now she's suing our parents, for taking care of family expenses. What kind of person does that?" The comments poured in, some sympathetic, some skeptical. But then someone unearthed my grandfather's will, public record, posted it side by side with Rachel's claims. It mentioned her exactly once, leaving her his old golf clubs. Everything else, every account, every property, every asset was mine. The internet erupted. "Girl, he left you some sticks. Don't lie about a dead man's love. She missed her sister's wedding for a cruise and now she's crying online. Classic. Emily deserves every penny. Good for her for standing up." Rachel deleted the live, but it was too late. The screenshots multiplied faster than she could scrub them. By afternoon, Dad had joined the fray. At his church prayer group, he begged for prayers for my troubled daughter who chose money over family. Someone recorded it. Within hours, the video was circulating online. In it, his voice cracked with feigned sorrow. She's always been dramatic, always difficult. We gave her everything, and this is how she repays us, dragging her own parents to court. But comments told a different story. Didn't y'all miss her wedding for a vacation? Pastor, maybe pray for yourself. You're stealing from your kid. This family seems toxic as hell. Every attempt they made to paint me as selfish only highlighted their cruelty. But the internet's opinion wasn't what mattered. What mattered was the law. Robert and Megan filed injunctions to freeze all accounts. Court papers were served to my parents within 48 hours. The sheriff knocked on their door while Rachel live-streamed in the background, her voice shrill. See? She's destroying us. She's heartless. Jordan watched the video with clenched fists. She's not heartless. She's just not letting you bleed her dry anymore. The legal process moved faster than I expected. My parents were required to provide a full accounting of every penny they had taken. Robert's voice was calm but firm when he explained the stakes. If they can't prove these were legitimate expenses authorized by you, Emily, the court will classify it as theft. Meanwhile, Jordan and I began receiving threats. Some anonymous, some from cousins. You'll regret this. Family is family. You don't sue your own. Rachel says you're unstable. Maybe the judge will see that too. I stopped answering unknown numbers. Jordan insisted on walking me to and from work. At night, I double-checked the locks. Then came the breaking point. It was a Wednesday evening. Jordan and I had just sat down to dinner when the pounding on the door started. Heavy, desperate. We froze. When we opened it, police officers stood there with grim expressions. Behind them, in the back of a squad car, sat my father. Drunk, his face red, his hands cuffed. "Mrs. Peters?" one officer asked. "We've arrested your father attempting to break into your apartment. Your neighbor reported him. We have doorbell camera footage of him trying to force the lock with a credit card." My breath caught. Oh my God. "We need to ask, do you want to press charges?" Through the car window, Dad's eyes met mine. There was no apology in them, only anger. His thumbs moved furiously over a phone, even in cuffs, probably texting Rachel to spin this too. Jordan stepped forward. "Yes, we'll press charges." The officer nodded. Mom appeared on the sidewalk then, screaming at the police, her voice raw. "How could you do this to your own father? He raised you. He gave you life." I found my voice, cold and steady. "No, you raised Rachel. You tolerated me, and you stole from me every chance you got." Her mouth opened, but no words came. The officers drove Dad away. The flashing lights faded into the night. I stood on the curb, shaking, realizing what this meant. This wasn't just lawsuits or online drama anymore. This was real, criminal. My father in a squad car. My mother shrieking in the street. My sister filming for her followers. Jordan wrapped his arm around me. They've made their choice. Now you make yours. Do you keep letting them rewrite the story, or do you claim the truth? I looked up at him, my decision crystallizing. No more hiding. No more silence. We fight. For the first time, I wasn't just reacting to their betrayals. I was going to war. The days after my father's arrest felt like living inside a hurricane. Papers to sign, hearings to attend, endless phone calls with Robert and Megan. Every signature was a blade cutting away the ropes that had bound me to my family for 26 years. The civil case moved swiftly. With the evidence laid bare, the account statements, the trust documents, the will, the video of Dad trying to break into my apartment, the judge ruled in my favor. The house was legally mine. The rental properties were mine. The accounts, frozen, were to be restored under my name. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt hollow. Because every legal victory came with another revelation. When we finally stepped into the old house, the one I'd grown up in, the one my parents had claimed as theirs, I half expected to feel a rush of belonging. Instead, it smelled foreign, like paint and chlorine. The renovations gleamed. A new kitchen, a pool in the backyard, a finished basement where Rachel had been living rent-free. All of it paid for with my inheritance. I wandered through the rooms, numb. My childhood bedroom was exactly as I'd left it at 18, not preserved with love, but abandoned, dust gathering on the furniture. Forgotten. Rachel's room, by contrast, had been remodeled 3 times over. A queen bed with a tufted headboard, walls painted in soft lavender, shelves lined with expensive perfumes. In the basement, I found boxes stacked against the wall. At first, I thought they were Rachel's, but when I opened them, I saw my own handwriting. My middle school diaries, my report cards, artwork I had thought long lost, and photos, dozens of them. But something was wrong. Each one had been carefully cut, my image sliced out, leaving gaps in family portraits. Christmas, birthdays, vacations, all with me erased. Jordan stared at the pile, horror in his eyes. "This is creepy." "No," I said slowly, realization dawning like a dark sun. "It's sad. They had to work this hard to erase me. It wasn't enough to ignore me. They had to pretend I never existed." The truth settled heavy in my chest. I couldn't live here, not in a house that had swallowed my childhood whole and spit me out like I was nothing. So I made a decision. 2 weeks later, I invited them all back. Not my parents, or Rachel, of course. The court had barred them from the property, but the aunts, uncles, cousins who had chosen the cruise over my wedding, who had posted photos while I walked down the aisle, they came. Of course they came. Curiosity was stronger than shame. The backyard was full. The same backyard where Mom once told me I couldn't host my reception because it was too messy. I stood on the deck looking down at the sea of familiar faces. "I asked you here to tell you the truth," I began, my voice carrying over the hum of whispers. "Grandpa left me everything. Because he saw what you all saw and ignored. He saw the favoritism, the neglect, the abuse, and he tried to fix it the only way he could, by making sure I had a way out." Aunt Janet tried to interrupt. "Emily, we didn't know." "You knew," I cut her off coldly. "You were on the cruise. You posted photos during my wedding ceremony. You knew." Silence fell. "I'm selling this house," I continued. "The money will go into a trust for my future children, and they will never know any of you. They will never sit in empty chairs wondering why Grandma or Auntie didn't show up. They will never be erased from photos. They will never be told they're too dramatic when they ask to be loved." Uncle Pete stepped forward, his voice desperate. "You can't cut us all off. We're family." "No," I said, steady and unflinching. "You're relatives. Family shows up. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't choose a cruise over a wedding." I pulled a stack of papers from my folder. "These are cease and desist orders. If any of you contact me, my husband, or our future children, we'll pursue harassment charges. This is goodbye." Some cried, some yelled, some left in angry silence. But one person stayed behind. My cousin Mia, 17 years old, Rachel's favorite shadow. She lingered at the edge of the deck, her eyes wide and trembling. "Emily," she asked softly, "when I turn 18, can I call you? Please?" I felt my throat tighten. I stepped down and pulled her into a hug. Always. When she left, I stood alone in the yard, the grass damp beneath my shoes. For the first time, I wasn't waiting for anyone to show up. I was the one leaving, and I wasn't coming back. The house sold in less than 2 weeks. A young couple with 3 children and a golden retriever made a cash offer above asking. The day they moved in, I drove past slowly. The siding had already been painted yellow. A swing set rose in the backyard, and bikes littered the lawn I had once mowed while Rachel sunbathed. It no longer looked like the house where I'd been overlooked and erased. It looked like a home. I didn't mourn leaving it behind. Some ghosts aren't worth keeping. The legal system had the final word. My father pled guilty to fraud and breach of fiduciary duty. 18 months probation, mandatory restitution. My mother, complicit but less directly tied, was sentenced to community service. Rachel wasn't charged, but the internet had already branded her. That video of her insisting Grandpa loved her more than me became a meme shared millions of times. Last I heard, she'd taken a job at a call center 2 towns over. They had all lost more than money. They had lost the story they'd spent decades spinning. And me? I gained something far greater than cash or property. On our first anniversary, Jordan surprised me with a trip to the courthouse. Not for another case, but for a vow renewal. Just us, the judge, and his secretary as witness. "I want to marry you again," Jordan said, his eyes shining. "Now that you know who you really are. Now that you're free." I cried through the 5-minute ceremony. That night, we celebrated with his family, my family now. Patricia baked a cake. His father gave a toast. To Emily, who showed us all what strength looks like. Later, on our apartment balcony, I opened one last letter from Grandpa's box. The one marked, "Open when you're happy." "My dearest Emily," it read, "if you're holding this, you've made it. You've broken free. I know they made you feel like the villain. I know you probably still wonder if you were wrong. You weren't. Choosing yourself isn't selfish when you've spent your whole life being sacrificed. Taking what's yours isn't theft when it was stolen first. Be happy, my dear one. Be so magnificently happy that it makes everyone who hurt you realize what they lost. More importantly, be happy because you deserve it. You always have. All my love, Grandpa. At the bottom, a note. P.S. That husband of yours, thank him for me, for seeing your worth when your family couldn't. I folded the letter carefully, tears falling freely, and looked at Jordan. He knew. He knew you'd find me. Jordan pulled me close. He's here, Emily, in every choice you make to love yourself, in every boundary you set, in every moment you choose joy over guilt. 2 years later, when our daughter was born, we named her Grace, after Grandpa's mother, a woman I'd learned had also been the black sheep, the one who chose herself when her family tried to erase her. When the birth announcement made the local paper, my mother sent a card. It said nothing but Grandma. I returned it unopened. Rachel tried once, through a lawyer, asking if I'd help fund her wedding because family helps family. I mailed back a check for $50, the exact amount they had given me for mine. In the memo line I wrote, "Family helps family equally." She never cashed it. One afternoon, I drove past the old house again. Children's laughter floated through the air. A garden bloomed where the pool had once gleamed. It looked alive, loved. Exactly what Grandpa had wanted for me. Not the house itself, but the chance to create something new. That night, my phone buzzed with a text from Jordan. "Dinner at Mom's. She made the soup you love." I smiled as I typed back, "Wouldn't miss it." Because that's what family does. They show up. And now, finally, so do I.